En estos momentos vamos a dar inicio a la conferencia con la PhD Cécile Mayer. Una pequeña introducción de Cécile Mayer. Ella es la directora ejecutiva del Instituto Internacional de Soldadura, graduada con diploma en ingeniería en el área de tecnología espacial, PhD en soldadura de aluminio por láser en CO2. Ella es ingeniera de soldadura por el Instituto Francés de Soldadura y el Centro de Investigación en Aplicaciones Láser. Fue nombrada por el Instituto Francés de Soldadura como coordinador técnico del programa de estandarización de soldadura en Francia, así como en el Comité Europeo de Normalización. Le invitamos a Cécile Mayer a que pueda pasar al podio. We invite Cécile Mayer to come to the podium. La recibimos con un fuerte aplauso, por favor.
I stay here. That's not technical. Just need an adjustment of the mic. Okay. So thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Dear guests from University of Lima and organizing committee and the sponsors, I cannot tell you how happy I am to be in Peru eventually. I must say some words about the involvement of Peru in IW. This is pretty recent, and this was during one of my first years as a CEO, so a couple of years ago. And what I must say is the approach was very simple and very modest, but the way the application was presented was really appreciated by the board of directors and all the members. So Peru was welcomed unanimously, and years after years, we are keeping contact. And so I really do hope that this conference and also my presence here will help developing the cooperation. So thank you again for inviting me. And my presentation is focused on the IW, so what we are doing, what we aim to do, and what are our plans for the future. And I call him driving principle, current achievements, and prospective views. I like to start my lectures with kind of examples. So many of you know welding, but have you ever questioned yourself about the awareness of the importance of welding? So, as you know, welding is indispensable. This is really a technology that is needed everywhere in construction and in transportation industry. And you can see many examples of welding everywhere. But you know what the industry retains usually is this kind of things. Welds are the weakest parts of the plants and of the constructions. So you are just worrying about welding when something bad happens. And most of the engineers are happy when there is no weld. So this really doesn't help the image of welding. And in general, the global awareness of the importance of welding is very poor outside of our little community of people working in the welding area. So this is one of the reasons why IW does exist. And a couple of years ago, we settled a global organization. So this was a long time ago. I think nobody here saw the birth of IW, because the first annual assembly took place in 1948. So this is more than 70 years ago. And at this time, this was only 13 founding members who really think there was a need to have a global organization to develop welding. And if you go back to this period of time, this was a time of big dreams after the Second World War. So IW was born on these principles. And I have summarized them on this slide. Our values are listed here very quickly. We want to have a global approach, not focalized on one country, continent, or region. And we want also growing awareness of global responsibility of an organization, and which is more to address than national ones. And the second one is the equity. In the IW, any country, any size is treated the same way. So there is 100% respect of anybody who is participating. And then the international relevance is also very important. The simple reason is we are multicultural, and that means the meetings are very interesting because different opinions are shared and the discussions are always very living. So we are happy with this model. And the two other items are bound to each other. Being more than one person or one country is better for feeling stronger, like bringing your projects to decision makers in your country. So we reach strength through unity, and the consequence is the global credibility of the organization and its member is also growing. And one important thing is we do not have commercial objective per se. That means the organization itself is a non-for-profit organization. So as I said, it was founded in 1948 by 13 countries, and what is put in a quotation mark are the principles that are written in the Constitution version 1948, promoting the development of welding by all processes, not being engaged in commercial or trade activities, assist in the formulation of standards, organize congresses, and everything is based on the work on our technical commissions. And these principles are still true in our today's world. We have changed a little bit, but we kept all these important things. So I'm not going through the 70 years of history of the IW, so otherwise I will keep you busy up to midnight. But my presentation will be shared to everyone after this lecture, and you will see that in the PowerPoint you have the links to our history books, and everything is public on the internet. I really strongly invite you to have a look on this, especially on the most recent one that was published last year for the 70th anniversary, and it will really give you an overview of what has been done. So for example, we are recognized by ISO as a standardizing committee since '84, and we introduced a system of international diplomas and certification in the early 2000s. And among other things, we introduced new working units just to keep pace with the technical developments. And now the second part of my presentation is, what are we today? And again, the elements that are on this slide are available on the website, and you will have the links. So I really encourage you to explore if you don't know so much about IW, because during this lecture, I don't have time to go into details of what exactly we do, but what I must say is, if you are interested in any specific item, just come to me. I will be here until the end of this event, and I will be very happy to answer any question. So today, what are we? Now we have 55 countries, and 42 countries have the system of either qualification and/or certification, which is a worldwide harmonized system. And our community is about 800 experts. I mean, the active people, but the people surrounding the IW is a couple of thousands who, from time to time, refer to us or visit one of our events. We have now 25 technical commissions, and our events are, I will say, well attended, which is very good in our world of virtual meetings and things like this. Last month, we had our General Assembly and annual meetings in Indonesia, and we were about 800 people together celebrating welding during 1 week. And we have also a system of international congresses since 1988, and since this time we organize more than 35 of these congresses, and we have a program of associated events. The web platform is, of course, very important for us, and we have more than 5,000 registered users and 20,000 downloadable documents. So the free download, of course, is restricted to members. But on a simple request, the Secretariat is happy to supply documents. So on an organization point of view, this is our governance is managed. IW is, as I said, a non-for-profit organization. The ownership is owned by the members. So the members are taking all the decisions. Of course, the governance control and all the important decisions are prepared by the board of directors. And me and my staff, we are just located at the secretariat level here, doing the management. And below this, we have several groups, and some are administrative to support the work of the board of directors, or on the technical side. So let me just give you a little bit more details on the technical side. What you must know is all the work is a volunteer work. Nobody is employed by IW, so that's the beauty of the system. Everybody who is coming is just offering something to the community, and of course expecting to get something also. But basically, nobody is paid for bringing new ideas or a new product or a new document. And this is the organization of our technical committees. One is focused on what we call the human factors, and this is terminology, health and safety, education and training, and globally speaking, research, quality management. And another one in orange is a long list of joining processes. We are trying to cover all of them. And again, this is a land of freedom. So each time our experts deem that there is a new field, like recently additive manufacturing, to explore, we decide in common to create a working unit. And when one topic is not of such a high interest, we just close it. So this is a very flexible system. And the very last one in orange is the structural integrity. So this is a key group with fatigue, rupture, behavior of welds, etc. So this is deeply connected to the industrial applications. So we try to be very transversal. And all these working units are working in collaboration with each other. And each time they have some topics in common, they organize meetings together. And last month in Bali, it happened that maybe 4 or 5 of them met together with maybe 200 people working on the same topics. And you know, the system is pretty simple, still the same since the beginning. We have the members, and our members are also non-for-profit organizations, and they appoint qualified people to represent their countries in the working units. And these people go or not go to meetings, but they are part of a community. And their role is to showcase their country's technology, research, output, and expertise. And this is very important for you, especially for students, that your work must be known by the international audience. Second one is to promote the capabilities of the country. Some countries are very unknown, and IW gives the opportunity to put some light on your country, like organizing an international conference. And by going to this meeting, and this was my experience also because I have a technical background, and I started very modestly with being a delegate to the Commission 4, that is the laser and beam processes. And I was so happy to see the people I had in my bibliography during my PhD. They were in front of me, you know, managing meetings, and I could meet these people in person. So this was really a great experience that I wish everyone can have. And fourth one is establish communication, collaboration, and cooperation. For sure, our working units are not typical conferences. This is very living working groups. So somebody is sharing his work with his peers, and there is no judgment. We have a very strong code of ethics that everybody must be listened, every voice must be listened, and the chairs are very committed to have an open dialogue with everyone coming from everywhere. So this is a very good way for young people. And again, this was my case a couple of years ago when, you know, my English was not so good, and I was not so sure of my competencies. And, you know, for me, it was the opportunity to make my first presentations in front of a panel of experts, and this really gives some confidence these young people. And last but not least, this is a good way to gather lots of information about the latest technologies. So we try to stay in touch with the latest developments. And one single slide summarizing everything. So again, there are links in this presentation. So you can go to the books. We have now a very strong partnership with Springer Verlag, the German publisher. And we have started a collection of books with them. And the most successful, I must say, is our journal, Welding in the World. So we started also collaboration with Springer 5 years ago, and we started with 0 as an impact factor because we were not registered on SCI. And this last year we got 1.2. So in only 5 years, we reached quite a good level, I would say. Of course, we still need to improve a lot of things, but this is really a success story. So I strongly encourage you, especially those who are presenting to this conference, to submit your papers in the open submission path on Welding in the World. And the standards is also very interesting. Since we are recognized by ISO, we can produce our own standards, not duplicating work of ISO TC44 with doing the standardization in welding, but simply some more specialized topics or where the expertise is in IW, we do the job, and then we share with ISO. And there are lots, again, so that I cannot cover everything during this lecture. We have best practices, statements, reviews, and awarded lectures. And what I want also to mention is we like to recognize people. In our views, this is very important that the hard job that people are doing in welding is recognized. So this can be any type. We have a set of very prestigious prizes. All of them are sponsored by our countries. We have specialized ones for constructions. We have also some of them dedicated to young people. These are the Grand Jean prizes. And some of them are for softwares and so on. And we also give a reward for the best paper in our journal. We also recognize people who are coming 10, 20, 30 years and the chairs, because after all, these people are doing everything in IW. Me and my staff, we are only supporting the system and coordinating everything, but the work is done by the experts. And I have one more slide on a total different activity. This is the International System for Qualification and Certification of Welding Personnel. So it was mentioned during the introduction, and again, I will not give too many details, but just to give you a picture on this, we have like 5 levels from the welder to the welding engineer, and we have a system of putting in front your national education system and the standardized international levels. So we call that access conditions, and when this level is set, the country enters the global system. So I know in Peru the approach to this international system has been started some decades ago. So I strongly hope it will develop in the coming years. And you can see the figures. It's really huge. It's about 10,000 diploma per year. That means over 20 years, about 2 100,000 people with our diplomas. So that's something. And more recently, we have a certification together with these diplomas. So the figures here include renewal and new ones. So it's not a huge number. This is a more recent activity, and we are developing it. But again, this is a kind of success story. And the specificities of this system is, of course, this is harmonized for the world. So that means when you get a diploma in France, for example, you can go to another country, for example, in Africa or in Japan, and your diploma is recognized. And the management of examinations is centralized per country, and everyone is an actor of the system. That means the organizations who are delivering the diplomas are also those who are improving the system and developing it. So this is a permanent development and introduction of new things and making things better and better. And there is also a permanent audited system of training centers. We call them ATBs. One more aspect that is a recent thing is we detected that the young generation is not a fan of welding. So maybe because it's dirty, dusty, etc. But this is something we need to address on a global basis, just to avoid a rupture and what we call a skill shortage. So we like to stay connected with the youngest generation. So for this reason, we have started new programs, and we dedicate special events for the young people during our assemblies, but also specific conferences for young people. And a mentorship system. There is nothing worse than starting your first assembly or first congress and being isolated, not able to understand what's going on, and maybe a little bit shy, not talking to people. So that's why we are introducing a mentoring system. And we also have other projects, and I must mention that for example, the student chapters has been proposed by a country in the region here in Latin America. This is proposed by Mexico. So, as I said, any idea is welcomed. So at the moment we are working with them to create chapters in universities. So a lot of things are developed for the young people. And I mentioned that before. I strongly invite you to go on the website and have a look to what we are organizing. So, for example, you can see that we have congresses scheduled next year and also this year in October in Serbia. And our next assembly is in Europe. It is in the middle of Europe, in Slovakia, next year. So, as a summary of IW, what I can say is IW is a network of networks. And this is not an aid organization, this is not a developing agency, this is a good network that is well appreciated by its members and, globally speaking, by the industry related to welding and joining. Because this is an international forum, we recognize competencies, we have education and training, certification, and also the technology watch, I would say. So then, once said, shall we just stay and be happy with ourselves and just say everything is for the best and just continue like this. You know, in our today's world, nothing is stable. And a non-for-profit organization, membership-based like us, must always look to its future. And this project that I'm going to show you has been prepared a few years ago, but we are just entering it. So this is brand new information because this was agreed just a couple of days ago and by our members. So this is a new strategy for IW, a new vision and a new mission. And this is thanks to my board of directors, who is really a very good group. So I must really say thank you to them. And also the members who were very supportive when it was presented in Indonesia. So how to change a strategy? The first approach sometimes is just to look out to ourselves. But that's not what we did. We looked globally to global key challenges in the welding and joining industry. So we call that approach outside in. So what are the key challenges in the industry? And a group of us worked on this, and we detect few of them that are really, in my opinion, universal. So first of all, the lack of good professionals with the right skills. I'm an employee of the French Welding Institute, and I can tell you we have enormous difficulties to get people in the positions we open. That's really terrible when you think that in France there are 3 million unemployed people, but that's the reality. We are struggling fighting engineers and good technologists in welding. So I think the situation is more or less the same everywhere. Second one is keeping pace with the development and relevance of new technology. So that's the least we can do. And for the moment, we are doing pretty well, but anyway, things are moving very fast and we must really keep an eye on it. Third one is the lack of visibility, and this was my introduction to the lecture. Welding is not well known. When I'm participating to big organizations and I'm introducing myself, people are just wondering why we are dealing with welding. And to be honest with you, most of the people understand wedding instead of welding. So I think we really need to improve the visibility and the awareness about welding. And fourth one is also related to other problem in standardization is the existence of global barriers and inconsistent regulations amongst the regions of the world regarding the products and also the services to people. So I don't know if you all agree with this list, but in the IW, we consider that these are really the top-level challenges, global challenges. And what we did is then we just tried to put ourselves as IW in front of these global challenges. And we call the second step inside out. That means, what can we do for that? What can be our role? Do we have a role? Maybe not. So that's the result. So the answer is yes, according to ourselves. So take it as you want. For the first one, yes, we think that IW must be or is the manager of global training and qualification programs that meets the needs of industry. And IW also is the promoter of the welding and joining profession, from welders to welding and joining engineers and researchers. So we, as you understand, we are putting ourselves in front of these key challenges. And the second one is about the new technologies. The answer is yes. IW is the international platform for global knowledge exchange and promoter of new promising technologies. Then about the lack of visibilities, again, yes, we can be the promoter of welding and joining as a key technology, so improve the image of welding. And against the barriers for the development of collaboration and cooperation, we can be the driver of worldwide certification, standardization, and best practices. So this is the plan. This is how we see ourselves. And so once this was agreed, we summarized everything in 2 sentences. So the first one is the mission. So the mission is what we are doing. And the mission, the new mission, is to advance welding and joining through a worldwide network. And this is the real essence of RW, a network which is making things progressing. And the second one is the vision. And the vision is what we aim to be, and maybe what we will be in a short term. So this is a 5-year strategic plan. So I will say in 5 years from now, if we have not reached this vision, that means our vision was wrong. And the vision is the leading community linking industry, research, and education to the advancement of welding and joining for a safer and sustainable world. So the link between industry, research, and education has been identified as the key solution to keep everything progressing together and sharing awareness and collaboration or cooperation. So this slide has a lot of words on it. And this is my concluding slide to this lecture. What I will say is that's only a start. We are working now on getting IW shaped to achieve the mission and the vision. We already detected the strengths and the weaknesses, I must say, and identified what we call the must-win battles. So this is a sport expression. That means if we want to achieve the mission and the vision, we cannot succeed without going through several steps, and that means improving some capabilities and, I will say, breaking some old habits. So lots of changes are ahead of us, and I would really like to emphasize that nothing can be achieved without the members, because the board of directors is only 15 people, and we have a core of people around us with the chairs and all the volunteers. But this kind of projects needs a lot of energy and engagement. So one more slide. If you think you can do anything or you have anything to propose, feel free to contact us at the Secretariat with your proposals. And everybody is welcomed and every goodwill is welcomed. Thank you very much for your attention.
We want to thank you, Cécile Mayer, and we want to invite her to the head table. Here. Yeah. Ahora vamos a continuar con las ponencias. A continuación, seguimos presentando a Dale Flood. Él es presidente de la American Welding Society. Él tiene una amplia experiencia en soldadura. Él ha sido desde soldador hasta superintendente de soldadura en varias instalaciones nucleares, supervisando operaciones de soldadura manuales y mecanizadas. Y actualmente trabaja como jefe de proyectos de soldadura, investigación y desarrollo. Tiene numerosas patentes de soldadura automatizada y él es actual presidente de la American Welding Society y es también miembro del comité de 10 de Piping and Tubing. Lo invitamos a pasar adelante al señor Dale Flood. Lo recibimos con un fuerte aplauso.